hear the rest of the sessions online, or please come in the morning and afternoon to take offline association and bless me so that you all can physically be present and inspire me as I speak. So because recapping too much will kind of take away the time, and time is very much limited. So in verse number 1, let's enter that. Samsara Davanal Lida Loka Pranaya Karunya Ghananatmam Praptirsa Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guru Hosri Chakaruni. So what does the word samsara mean? Anybody would like to try? So one thing I wanted to mention, that if there are so many daily kirtans or artis and bhajans that we sing, and if we sing them by memorizing them, it's good. We will still get the benefit because they have been written by composed by pure devotees. But what to talk about those who actually have understood something? We cannot understand fully because we are not at that level. That internal bhav, because one word in the different bhajans or in the shastra, they can have many meanings, and a normal meaning, rasik meaning, more than one rasik meaning. As I gave in the morning, anybody remembers? I gave 2 examples. Just 2 I gave. One word, 2 meanings. One was the normal meaning and the other one was the rasik meaning. Gopinath. Again, what is the meaning?
Master of the Gopis.
Master of the Gopis. And what is the other meaning which our Acharyas say? Gopis are the master. Because they are in the meaning, these are the Swapaksha Gopis of Srimati Radharani and the Swapaksha Gopis who are in the Bhamya Bhav. Bhamya Bhav, I forgot to mention in the recap that Bhamya Bhav means they have complete control of Krishna. Complete control. Whatever they say, Krishna must do. Full control they have. There is 2 statements. One statement is the rightest gopis, or the Bhamya Bhav. They say, Krishna, we are yours. Like the queens of Dwarka, or like Chandravati, etc. in Vrindavan. Where the Swapaksha gopis, they say that you are mine. Over possessiveness. So much authority. And that is nice. Now, one thing because of the time crunch in the morning, I forgot to mention, why does Krishna go to, if Krishna loves Radharani the most, then why does he go to other gopis? That question can come to mind. Anybody would like to attempt to answer that? Yes?
So in a relationship, if there is some, a twist, so increases the overall love.
Yes, very nice. That is called the Utkantha. Meaning, it will increase that will bring Radharani to the state of prema. I said there are many types of prema, right? So, one of the states of prema or stages of prema is called mana. And that is exclusively Radharani's domain. And in mana, she is very upset at Krishna. And Krishna deliberately enhances that man so that the union will become even more sweeter. The meeting, when they meet again, it becomes more and more and more sweeter. So the others are assisting, actually directly or indirectly, in Vrindavan especially, without even them knowing, under the control of Yogamaya, they are enhancing Radha Krishna's prema. They are enhancing the love of Radha and Krishna. They are instrumental in enhancing the love of Radha and Krishna. And that is also displayed in the Ras Leela, which of course we will not discuss right now. Because in Ras Leela, Radharani leaves. You all know that, right? Right? Because she sees that Krishna is very happily dancing with all the gopis, and he is so satisfied. And that creates a transcendental jealousy in her. And if that had not happened, then the most intimate meeting of Radha and Krishna in the forest would have not happened. And then the separation would have not happened. And then the Gopi Geet would have not happened. And if the Gopi Geet would have not happened, then again Krishna would have not revealed himself. So this is a very, very amazing thing that they experience, especially Srimati Radharani. And one more thing I wanted to mention, that the Manjaris feel exactly like Srimati Radharani. Even the gopis, like the Pran Sakhis, the Priya Dharma Sakhis also feel, but maybe slightly 100% is felt by the Manjaris. So that means whatever, and that is one of the things, the Manjaris never want to enjoy Krishna. That's one of the qualities. Krishna sometimes has pastimes with Lalita, with Vishaka in a romantic situation. So for example, near Barsana there is a place called Unchagaon, where it's the village of Lalita Sakhi. And there Radharani personally has made Lalita Sakhi and Krishna on a swing, and also she was present in the wedding. They did a mock wedding. So that amorous pastime is extended to the Sakhis, but the Manjaris, they never ever even desire to even think in their minds that they will enjoy Krishna. They always want that Radharani should enjoy Krishna. So that is a big sacrifice that they have. That is the difference between the gopis, although they are in the Swapaksha, and the Manjaris. So these are some of the most important differences between Manjaris and even the Swapaksha gopis of Srimati Radharani. So samsara dhavan, what does the samsara mean? Samsara means, there are many meanings. One is wandering, one is karmic cycle for us, or a repetition. So repetition is called samsara. Where in this world, Krishna mentions, right? Janma, Mrityu, Jara Vyadhi, Dukkha Dosha, Anudarshana. So it is a cycle of these four that continuously happens no matter which out of the 8,400,000 species of life we go through. As long as we are in this material world, we have to go through this cycle of Janma, Mrityu, Jara Vyadhi, Janma, Mrityu, Jara Vyadhi, Janma, Mrityu, Jara Vyadhi. So it's a cycle. It's a repetition of this. And due to that, we suffer. Davanal leader, it is like a forest fire. Davanal, Prabhupada mentions a forest fire, there is no reason how it starts. We cannot figure out, it just starts. Like generally speaking, if there's a fire in a building or something, they come and inspect and they find it was a short circuit, or there was somebody's kitchen had caught on fire, and then the fire spread to the rest of the building. But when it's the Davanal, the forest fire, we have in California a lot of forest fires. Every year something happens and it reaches all the way to the cities and towns and it burns the houses. And they try to control it with so many means, like not only the nearing towns fire engines come, but the surrounding towns where there is no fire, the government sends their fire engines and they send the planes to spray certain chemicals and even water, helicopters, etc. But so basically it tells us that any material endeavor to extinguish this forest fire will never work. The only way it will work is it is an allegorical or a symbolic way of saying. And what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, that Bhava Mahadava Agni Nirvapadam. So how that Nirvapadam takes place, and what are the three different Tapotrays? The Adi Bhautik, Adi Devi, and Adi Adhyatmik kleshas. So they can only, that is the kind of, now again I have to mention that when we look at this, the samsara dhavanal prayers of the Guruvashtakam, there are some external components and there are internal components. So we will try to touch upon those. So in the external component, here it is meant for us, the jivas who have been suffering Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, and who have been suffering the Tapotrayi, Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, and Adidevi kleshas. And It is for practicing devotees. We have anarthas that we have accumulated from our previous many births. It's a snowball effect. It continuously, and we are gathering more and more and more, unless and until we take to the devotional service. And only pure devotional service can eradicate that tapotra unmulanam. Srimad Bhagavatam says that in the first verse, which is the second verse chronologically. First verse, Om Janmadiyasya 1.1.1 of SB is Manglacharan. And the second verse chronologically is the first verse, where it is that Dharma Projita Kaitavatra Parmo Nirvatsaranam Sadam Vidyam Vastavamatra Shimadam Tapotrai Udmulanam. When we take to pure Krishna consciousness, it eradicates our tapas, the three sufferings, Adhyatmik, Adibhautik and Adidaivic, from the root. Tapotrai Unmulanam. Unmulanam, very important word that Vyasadeva has used. From the root, it will eradicate. And once a plant or a tree is eradicated, the root is destroyed, then it is finished, never to come back. On a similar note, Parikshit Maharaj, when he feels so much pain, when he heard the description, Sukadeva Swami is describing the different parts of the creation, how the creation happens. And when he hears about the hellish planets, at that time, being a Vaishnava, it pained his heart. And at that time he asked Sukadeva Swami, how can the jivas in this world avoid hellish planets? How they can? So he gives some solution. And the first solution, anybody remembers? What is the first solution he gave? Or the example? He says you have to repent. Tapasya. So he said that that's all right, my dear Gurudev. Tapasya, but I feel that tapasya is like a bathing of an elephant. The elephant takes a nice bath for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in a very clear crystal river or a lake, and then as soon as they finish taking the bath, they put their first footstep on the bank, immediately their whole body with their trunks and everything becomes sloshy with all that mud and dirt. So what is the use of the repentance? And Prabhupada used that example of those going to the church and Sunday they go, Father, I have sinned, please forgive me. So the Father will say in the confession box, he says, okay, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, do not sin again. But then again he comes back the next Sunday, again sinning. So what is the use of that repentance? Manya Hasti Snanam. That is, I think, the words that were used. I believe that they are the bathing of an elephant. So the second solution, seeing that the student is listening very carefully and he is more serious, then he gives the second solution. The second solution is following the scriptures very nicely and repenting or based on scriptures. Repentance is still there, but based on scriptural authority. So at that time, Parikshit Maharaj says, well, that is like a forest fire. In a forest fire, everything is destroyed. Everything on the ground, big trees, plants, shrubs, everything is destroyed. But after that, what happens? When it rains, the roots are still there, they come back. So all the different sinful tendencies are still deep down within the heart, and the tendency to come back is there, just like when the roots are present, although the over the ground everything is destroyed, they come back again. So then the third solution that he gives is repentance with bhakti and chanting of the holy names. That will completely eradicate the root itself, just like the morning dew. Once it's finished, it's finished. So these were the solutions that they were given. So tapatra unmulanam. And the anarthas are there. We have basically 4 categories of anarthas. Tattva vibhrama, meaning the illusions that we have. What are the illusions? The first illusion that we have is, I am this body. The illusion that we are not spirit souls. Second illusion that we have is illusion of Paramatma. There is no God sitting in our hearts. because of our heavy bodily concept. The third illusion is sadhya, sadhana and sadhya. Sadhana and sadhya, meaning the process of devotional service is given to us, but we don't have full faith in that. So that we will reach the ultimate goal, which is sadhya. We don't have faith. Sometimes we think that it's not working. This is just an illusion. Some people will come and tell us that, and we may get influenced, and some even leave Krishna consciousness. So that is it. So that is Tattva Brahma, Vibrahma. Then there is aparadhs, offenses. So what are those offenses? Very quickly. So there is Nam Aparadh. Within Nam Aparadh there are 10 offenses, and you all know we chant that every morning. Then after that, the other 4 offenses are Vaishnava Aparadh. Okay? And then there is the offense of Vishnu Aparadh, or the Aparadh against the Supreme Lord. Then there is offense, Dham offense, offenses against the Dham. And the 5th offense is offenses against other jivas. So that is why these aparadhas need to be eradicated. And then Asat Trishna. Asat Trishna means like Mrut Trishna. Mrut Trishna means like what is the word in English? It is called mirage in the desert. The faster the animal runs behind thinking that there is water, and they run fast and fast, the water body appears to go move away, and finally they become very tired and they die in the scorching heat. So that is our situation. What is that Asat Trishna? Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi and Kam. Bhukti means sense enjoyment, enjoying material things. Mukti is also very, very detrimental to bhakti, and our Vaishnavas consider that as narkiya, as hellish. Because mukti is, even if we are purified and if we go beyond the 3 modes of material nature, we will end up in Brahma Jyoti, where most of the Mayavadis to the Brahmavadis end up, and where there is no seva of Krishna. Mayavadi, Krishna Aparani. So even if it is a transcendental domain, there is no service there. And for a Vaishnava, if there is no service, then that place becomes hell, bereft of any service, or bereft of even the Vaishnava association. Because everybody merges into the Brahman, they have all merged, then where can you find that individuality? Where can you serve? Supposing if I am thirsty, I say, Prabhuji, can you get me a glass of water? Because you see me as an individual, I see you as an individual, we can serve each other reciprocally. But if somebody is completely adrishya, invisible, then how can we serve? We cannot serve. So that is very bad. So mukti is something hellish. That is why Satyavrata Muni rejects that. We just sang the Damodarashtakam the whole month. What is that verse? Varam deva moksham na moksham avdivva na cha anya vrineya vara ishadapiha. So he is upset. Actually, I mentioned earlier this morning that this is a conversation. Satyavrata Muni is having a subtle conversation between Krishna. This is mentioned by Sanatana Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas. They are having a conversation. So, having heard the first 3 verses from Satyavrata Muni, Krishna is very pleased. Oh, now you are praising me. You praised me in Gokul, my Satchitananda feature. You praised my ornaments, Lasana Kundala. You praised my Leela with my mother. And not only that, you also praised the Vrajvasis. Idriksa Leelavir Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimanjantam. Swaghosh means my own Gokul. Nimanjantam means immerse them by the different wonderful sweet pastimes. So Krishna says, wow, you know that. Amazing. Just like supposing in our practical life, if somebody meets us and says, you are the son of such and such, right? This is your grandfather, right? You lived in this place, right? Your eyes will widen. Wow, you know this? Supposing a stranger stops you and says that. So then you feel that there is some kind of a connection with that person because of the intimacy that person has displayed. So similarly, when Satyavrata Muni does that, Krishna is extremely pleased. So without even him asking, he said, I will offer you moksha. That moksha is that of the ones that are the Brahmavadis, or the Pantastu Koti Sarvatsara Sampragamyo Vayarathapi Muniso Munipungavana. So apiyasta yad prabhadasimni achittasre bhuvitavadi purusham tamahaya. Millions and millions of yogis are sitting in Yoga Dharana, drilling their respiration with the, what you call that, pranayam, and the different levels of chakras they bring from the navel part all the way up into the head, and then they eventually the soul escapes from this area, but they end up where? Into the Brahmajyoti. That's where they end up. So that is not the goal of the Vaishnavas. So he says, no, I don't want that. And Krishna, seeing that he is very upset just by that offering, he says, okay, fine. Now I will give you liberation in Awadh. Awadh means Ayodhya, Vaikuntha Ayodhya. So he rejects that as well. Because he is already into Gokul, in Vraj. And then, why should I get demoted? Instead of being, generally we all want promotion. Why should I get demoted to Vaikuntha? And then he says one more thing which I want you all to know, in case if you have not heard. Nacha Anye. That Shabda. Do you know? You are shaking your head. What is the meaning of Anya in that? The Rasikartha. So he's saying, I don't want any other kind of liberation, but here he means any kind of other liberation. That means he's indicating Prahlad and Dhruv, or any of the devotees of that category, because eventually I will end up in Vaikuntha. Of course, that doesn't mean that we do not read the 7th canto and the prayers of Prahlad. We are in Vaidhi Bhakti. We must enter into that mood, and then we will understand the sadhana bhakti in Raganuga Bhakti, if we are pakka in all that on those lessons. So therefore, he rejecting all that, then Krishna resigns and says, then what do you want, my dear? So he says, Idam te vapurnatham gopalapalam sadami manasya. I want that you give me again and again within my heart, you give me those spurtis that happen in Raj, in Gokul. And obviously I don't have the time. 3 weeks ago I gave a seminar on Damodarashtakam in our Krishna Balram temple. If you want to refer, there are 3 days. Why it is especially very dear to our Acharyas in Gaudiya line, because that Gopal Bal is Vatsalya Rasa. But we are not in Vatsalya Rasa. Our goal is Madhurya Rasa, that too Radha Dasyam. That is our ultimate goal. So if you are interested, please go into ISKCON Vrindavan and just go into the playlist seminars, and you will find Damodarashtakam. There's 3 days, so I've tried my best to cover that. So Samsara Davanal, it's a forest fire. The different Asat Trishnas we described. And then the 4th one in the category of anarthas is the Hridaya Durbalyam, which further takes us to 3 different categories, which is Tuchha Asakti, being attached to very, very menial things. We get attached to that. Something happens to our phone, we start crying. We are upset. Laptop crashes, then we forget about chanting, and then we are hitting the desk hard. We are, trying to figure out, and we have lost so much time. So this is Tuchha Asakti, attached to all these trivial things. Kudniti, duplicity. We are duplicious. We do something, we say something. In our minds, we say, oh, I am your servant, I am your servant, I am your servant. But many places we find that inside, they are not really feeling like a servant. And they sometimes even criticize the same devotee where they have said, I am your servant. So that is duplicity, kutniti, and matsarya, envy. That is there in most of us. Even to clear that stage, only in Paramahansa stage, we can clear that matsarya, envy. Dharma projita kaitava parmo nirmatsaranam satam. Those devotees who have completely cleared the level of envy, eradicated, they are the actual qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, even the other qualification in the same verse is Shushrubi, Krutubi. So even those are qualified if we have just a sincere desire to hear and serve Bhagavat, person Bhagavat and book Bhagavat. So that also qualifies us. So there are 2 sets of qualifications that in the same verse Vyasdev is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, anyways, so when we are that Davanal is all these anarthas. and all these different tapatras that we have to get rid of. Now, what is the internal meaning of the Davanal Leela? Meaning, when the liberated souls, like Rupa Goswami, our 6 Goswamis, our Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, etc., when they are consumed by the forest fire of separation. So, in Vipralamba Bhav, in separation, they feel that they are being consumed by a forest fire. Radharani, when she feels that separation so intense, it is mentioned in Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's other books that, for example, I believe I read that in some time ago in the book called Sankalpa Brahma. In that, Radharani says that when she is feeling, when Jatila stops her from going to Nanda Bhavan for cooking for Krishna, then she feels that intense separation and her body is so full of heat and so much temperature that even her best friends like Lalita, Vishaka and the Manjaris, when they try to cool her with some nice cooling flowers, make a bed, and those flowers also dry up from the heat of her body. And then when she eventually heard that because she is not allowed to go to Nanda Bhavan, but Samadhi the Dhanishta comes, one of the maid servants in Nanda Bhavan, and she is that Jatila tells her that you go and tell Nandarani that she won't come, but if she wants, we can send some from our home. So Radharani can cook here, but she will not come to Nandagram, to Nanda Bhavan. So just by hearing that news from Dhanishta, she gets all that energy, even though she is like almost, in a very feverish state, no energy, completely burning in separation. She gets up and starts cooking. And here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in that book mentions, he's present there, and he mentions that the heat of the fire when she's cooking feels cooling for her. The heat of the fire, that when she's cooking, that feels has a cooling effect because her body is so hot that the fire that cooks them. So can you imagine? So that is Davanam for the separation that the devotees feel. Like He Radhe Vraja Devaki Chalalite He Nanda Suna Kuto Shri Govardhana Kalpapa the Patale. Like that, they are singing the 6 Goswamis in separation. Where are you, O Krishna, O Lalita, O Vishaka, O Radharani, O son of Nanda Maharaj? Where are you? Simply they are crying in separation. So that means that I said there are 2 meanings based on the perception. Samsara Davanal, it is like the Davanal, the external meaning is it's for us with the 3 different sufferings, the birth, death, old age and disease, the 4 symptoms of the samsara. And for them, it is like consumed by a fire of separation. In the same bhajan that I mentioned earlier, when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur left his body, Rupa Manjari, it says in the last verse, Tuva darshana ahi garale jarala dehi chiradina tapita jivana chiradina tapita jivana aharupa karo daya deho more pad chaya aharupa karo daya deho more pad chaya narottama lainu sharana. So chiradina tapita jivana garala jarana dehi means my body is burning due to separation. So that is what Narottam Das Thakur says in one of the bhajans that we sing almost on every Acharya's disappearance day in Jai Anila Premadhana. He says, Pashane Kuddipo Mata, honore Pashino. That, and then also Mahaprabhu himself in the 7th verse. Yuga itam nimeshena chakshusha pravashada shunayitam jagat sarvam Govinda virahena. In the separation of Govinda, there's many millenniums, even one Nimesh. Nimesh means, anybody knows the delineation of Nimesh? Like 1 minute has got 60 seconds, right? 1 hour has got 60 minutes. So what is Nimesh? 1/10 of the, it actually is defined in the blink of an eye. And even in the 56th verse of Brahma Samhita, Nimeshadhakhyo va vrajati nayatrapi samayah bhaje shveta deepam tamam iha golokamitiyam vedantaste santah shiti virala charah kadivai Shriyakanta, that verse. So that is, so the gopis are even cursing that our eyes, why Brahma, the creator, created our eyelids? Because the moment we blink, we lose the sight of Krishna. We lose that beautiful darshan of Krishna. So that is separation. Now there are separations of many different forms, which I will not discuss here, but maybe in a private session, if you want to catch me later on, whatever little I know, I will share how Radharani feels separation from Krishna. Just to give you one example, that is known as Prema Vaivarta. That Prema Vaivarta is separation that happens even when Krishna is present, she feels that separation. So, in one Leela, in their Abhisar or their rendezvous during the Madhyan Leela, meaning the midday Leela, Krishna comes with the cow, with the coward boys and the cows are sent grazing in the fields. But slowly, they have already decided through Sanket, through the duties, where they will be meeting the gopis and Srimati Radharani during that lunch hour. And then the sakhas will go away. But some Priyadarma sakhas of Krishna, like Madhumangal, will stay. But not within the, very closely, outside, where the pastimes of Radha Krishna and the gopis are happening, they will not enter there, but very close by. Just like sometimes when we call somebody out, like a secretary or somebody, there's outside, just calling them in, they're within close hearing range, but not so much inside the office, where if there's any confidential meeting going on, then not necessary that that person may be able to attend. But they need the person whom they are attending close by, they are waiting on that person. So certain Priyam Dharma Sakhas had that privilege. So one time Radharani was lying down in Krishna's lap in the forest during the Madhyan Leela. And when that happened, one bumblebee came and started thinking that this soft, pinkish lotus feet of Radharani, the bumblebee mistook it for a beautiful lotus flower. So the bee came, the big one, really, and started going around, and that irritated and made Radharani scared. And Radharani said, Krishna, do something, this bumblebee is harassing me. So he immediately called out to Madhumangal, Madhumangal, please come here. So he comes, and then he has the stick, and he chases the bee away. And he chases him deep into the forest. And then he calls out from far, Madhusudan is gone. Now, just by hearing the words, Madhusudan is gone, one of the names of Krishna is Madhusudan. What does Madhusudan mean? That's one meaning, but Rasit meaning. Very important. Yes, but that is just allegorical. Yeah, very nice. You are right. You're on the right direction. Madhu means honey, and Sudan means one who extracts. So one of the names of a bee is Madhusudan. And the name of Krishna is also given Madhusudan because he goes to different gopis and he kind of, like a bee extracts nectar from them, their romance, in other words. So therefore, in a kind of a admonishing way, they call him Madhusudan, the gopis. So when, we all know in Ramadi, in separation, how Radharani is talking with the bee and says, you are also black, your master is also black. You also have whiskers, mooch, when you sit on the different flowers, the pollen, different color flower, they have different pollen. Some kesari, saffron color, some yellow, different, some reddish. And you can find that they have all these different colors stuck to their mustache. The bees have those, what do you call them, proboscis, or what is it called? They also have the front part of their mouth, and the colors are visible. That which flowers they went to. So Radharani is saying to you also have the same habit as your master. So go away. I don't want to listen to you. In Brahmar Geet, the different Prajalpa and all that, Vijalpa and all those symptoms are there. 10 different symptoms where such high ecstasy. So what I was saying is that although Krishna is present, she feels the separation. This morning I was talking about Mangalarti, which I mentioned that how we should consider as our Gaudiya Vaishnavas when we look at Mangalarti. That I will describe in the next verse when we come to. Somebody please remind me on that. So, although Krishna is right there, she feels separation already. Just by hearing, Madhusudan is gone. That kind of separation is also considered a very high kind of separation. Although in the presence of Krishna, she already feels separation. There is a separation known as pravas. Just by hearing, like sometimes we see that children when they grow up and they go to college campus and just a few days are left, so mother and father are already feeling sad. They have not gone yet. Few days are still left, but they feel because that pravas is coming, they already feel that separation. Already tears are flowing. In our practical experience, we may understand this example. So, pravas is something also that, so there are these different kinds of separations that our acharyas have delineated. So, that fire of separation is for them, it is davanal. It is like a forest fire for them. Like for example, when Krishna came when Uddhav came to Vrindavan, at that time, one Rasik Vaishnava in Vrindavan has written a nice bhajan. O chithiya le ja re Uddhav jaake kahiyo kanaiya se viraha saha nahi jaye ho viraha saha nahi jaye कैसी मेरी हाथ की रेखा कैसी मेरी निगोड़ी हाथ की रेखा. So like this, the bhav is expressed by the gopis and Srimati Radharani that, oh, please take this letter to Krishna, oh Uddhav. We cannot bear that separation from Krishna. And look at our fate. The lines on our hands are so bad that he went to Mathura and he never looked back at us. And he never looked back once he went to Mathura. So look at our fate, it's so bad. Like generally when we say, look at my fate, we see so punished. So, oh, these lines are very bad. So the gopis are singing, look at our fate, it's so bad. Then they say in that song, the essence is that we will never complain again to Mother Yashoda. Please come back. No, now the wind in Vrindavan has stopped flowing. कदम के पेड़ पे नहीं खिलते हैं फूल वृंदावन में की गलियों में नहीं उड़ती है धूल. So everything has out of separation has become standstill. Everybody is completely, lost and very, very extremely in pain, which is like a damana for them. So, like this, Tranaya means to deliver, to eradicate. And how does that deliverance come? The deliverance is also of two types. One for us, so that they can deliver us from our anarthas, our misgivings, our bodily concept. Vaishnavas and Guru do that. But also, the Karunya, Tranaya Karunya. What is that Karunya? Karunya is the mercy of the Acharya. Like Srila Prabhupada, how merciful he was. He is well situated after taking sannyas. Last 10 years before coming to the US, he was in Vrindavan. 5 years in the Vamshi Gopal temple at Keshigat, and 5 years in Radha Damodar temple. Well situated. And Prabhupada mentions that somewhere recently I heard in somebody was reading or at the lecture Then Prabhupada says that I want to go back to Vrindavan. This is in 1977, last couple months prior to Prabhupada departing. Although you all are so kind and you're giving me all these comforts and everything, but I was in Radha Damodar temple. There were no comforts, but in spite of that, my home is Vrindavan. I feel so comfortable in Vrindavan. I want to go back to Vrindavan. Prabhupada. So, like the Prabhupada left his entire comfort zone for us. That is called Karunya. That is the quality. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu. Right? Krishna's quality is there in the Acharyas. And because our Acharyas, and more than Krishna, the qualities of Srimati Radharani are there. Radharani is the most merciful. Karuna, Karumai, Karuna Karite, Sanaka Sanatana, Varnita Charite, Radhe Jai Jai, Madhav Taite. So because I mentioned earlier, they feel exactly like Srimati Radharani. These are all Manjaris. When they come here, they extend the mercy of Srimati Radharani, even more so than Krishna. And therefore, they have understood Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Sri Nandanandan. Krishna is the mood of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is Audhari Avatar. And there's nobody as munificent as him. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Most munificent of all. So he is the one who is so magnanimous, and therefore that magnanimity is extended to those near and dear servants of Mahaprabhu or near and dear servants of Srimati Radhika. Can you imagine sitting in Vrindavan thinking about the instructions of his Guru Maharaj that were given to him in the 1920s. You are educated, preach the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking world. When you get money, print books. The last instruction at Radhakund at the highest place. It is not a coincidence. That instruction that came a one-on-one Vishnu Bhakti Siddhanta Sri Thakur is right where her most dearmost Radharani is in liquid form. Radhakund is Radharani's body in liquid form. So those instructions is Radharani's desire that was expressed through Nayana Manjari to our Srila Prabhupada. When you print money, when you get money, print books. So that is how I think our story is the same in most of the people. And book is the essence. That somehow or the other we got a book. That's my personal story also. I was also born in a Vaishnava Sampradaya, Muslimar, Sri Vallabh Sampradaya, Srinathji. But I was very confused. From my childhood, I've been reading different philosophies. I was educated in Mumbai in one of the prominent convent schools, and there we had a big church, and my interest kind of grew into Christianity. I started reading the Bible, and then I also started associating with the preachers who were preaching Christianity, because I was confused about Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. I had a next door neighbor who was worshipping Hanumanji. Every Saturday, Mangalwar, Shanivar used to go to the temple and come back with a nice orange tika on his forehead. Would take the oil to worship. Next door flat, one more family was there who are ardent devotees of Durga Devi. One more flat next door were ardent devotees of Lord Shiva. And the answer that we got is all gods are one. Sab Bhagwan ek hai. So that was not satisfying. As the Srimad Bhagavatam says, if we are very sincere, somehow or the other, then mercy may be in our last lives. And also we were very fortunate that our grandmother, she was a very pure devotee. And that only I could understand by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, and after coming to ISKCON, she was on the Raganuga platform. But we considered her familiarity breeds contempt. We just considered someone who is just giving us prasad. We would tell grandmother, can you give me one more laddu? She would give one, she would give two. No, I want more. So we would harass her. So many things that we could not realize what pure devotee symptoms are. When we read the books of the Acharyas, we found that. So somehow or the other, due to that, some of the Vaishnava's mercy, we got an opportunity. But we could not understand because there is no preaching. In most sampradayas, hardly there is any preaching. So one day when I was in Chicago, when about 37, 38 years ago, My grandmother, I was very fond of her, attached to her. So even my parents told me that, today it's your birthday, go to the temple. Is there a Hindu temple close by? I said, yeah, 5 minutes away, there is one ISKCON temple. So I went there. It was, I think I still remember, Rajbhog Aarti was going on. Nobody was there. This is not like India, where there are so many devotees throughout the darshan times. Only Pujari. And when I went, I offered my obeisances just as a devout Hindu, just to satisfy the parents and grandmother. And then when I walked out, there was a table and there was a book. It says free copy. And it was the concise Lila Amrit of Srila Prabhupada. It is called Prabhupada. It was the original was in black with golden letters. And I picked it up. I already had the inclination to read different philosophies. So I went home. I said, half the day is already gone anyways. What's the point in going to work? So I took that book. It was around maybe 1:32 and started reading. In 3 hours, I finished the whole book. And then I read it 3 times. So in 9 or 10 hours, I read the whole book. And then 99% of my questions, you can say, that were at that late stage that were there in my mind were answered by His divine grace. And then the rest is history. I started going more and more, started meeting Vaishnavas, taking to the four regulative principles. And of course, that was there in our family from the beginning because we were in the Vallabh Sampradaya. We didn't even take Anyan Gali. But the point is that seriousness came in to know more because just of that one book. That's why I always encourage when somebody asks me, we may do all these courses and everything, but at the same time, please read Prabhupada Lila Amrit again and again and again and again. Even if it is half a page, one paragraph, because it is something that has just recently happened in 1965 to 1977, if we may say so, or from the time he appeared in 1896 through 1977. It is not that we have to go 5,000 years back to Kurukshetra or to the pastimes of Radha and Krishna that have been, in which they keep on repeating in Dwapar Yuga, in every Dwapar. So this is real that has happened. How Prabhupada interacted with devotees, how did he interact with outsiders, how did he interact with different religious leaders, different persons from different walks of life. This is something that we can continuously learn and appreciate that how Prabhupada, how great he is. So, leaving the comforts of Vrindavan, that is Pranaya Karunya Ganagana. Only Ganagana means the thundering, fully laden, rain-laden clouds can only extinguish that fire. Nothing else will work. Nothing. No fire engines will work. No helicopters, no planes to extinguish the forest fire. Except that. Leaving Vrindavan, coming here and going on Jaldur without any money, only with the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, encountering 3 heart attacks, so much faith, writing this poem in John Jalduta, that somehow or the other, my dear Krishna, why have you sent me to this part of the world where people are in the modes of ignorance and passion? They have given me the title of Bhakti Vedanta, but I have no knowledge of Bhakti. So now you have brought me here. So make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you wish. Most insignificant beggar, HG Bhakti Charu Swami Prabhupada. Swami, not Prabhupada. HG Bhakti Swami on Jaldur. He composed that poem. So much. And when he came, how much difficulties he went through. Who goes through that? No place to stay. He stayed in Butler, Pennsylvania a few days. After that, he went to New York. And from there, he had to meet some Mayavadi. I forget the name. What was the doctor? Mishra. Dr. Mishra. He didn't even have a home. He was staying in Dr. Mishra's office. Prabhupada somehow the other had a dictaphone or a typewriter. That also, most of the offices in PC, they have frosted glass, like we have this glass. Somebody broke into it and stole it. Some junkie or a drug addict to sell that typewriter or to get some few dollars so that they can get their fix. So, this is the kind of lifestyle Prabhupada had to pay. He had to go, Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale. He is Preshta. Why? because on the instruction of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, he came down. And proved that is why he's Krishna. I like to give this example that I think I said that on the first day here, that in a family when there is a wedding or something, very special occasion, hundreds and hundreds of people come, but only even in the family, it's a big family, and many brothers and sisters, but the father or the mother of the bride or the groom, they will give certain sevas to only specific brother or specific sister. Oh, you please take care of all the catering, you take care of all the decoration, you take care of all the guests. But there are many, it's a big family. But out of that, because they know that if once they tell that person, that brother or sister, that task will be done, and it will be done perfectly. So Vaikuntha and Golok Vrindavan is full of liberated devotees. But out of that, there are very few special ones, like our 6 Goswamis and Srila Prabhupada, that they have been chosen to do this task without complaint. They will go from that most highest domain where there is all comforts into 26 Second Avenue, where there is nashakoris, drunkards, drug addicts, in the Bowery, all those areas where Prabhupada went through so many difficulties. Finally, when he got a place, he started Bhagavad Gita classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then he started with prasadam. And he cooked with his own hands. And there were these hippies coming, sometimes 20, 25 in quantity. Some of them were drunk, some of them were very high on drugs. And it is said that those who are high on drugs or alcohol, they feel very hungry. So they used to eat a lot. And Prabhupada used to sometimes make 20 chapatis. Each person used to eat that. And he would still say, my dear boy, you're not eating well, please take more. And he used to sit on his haunches, squat and serve prasadam. After eating prasadam at 26 Second Avenue, most of them would leave, or some of them were so much full or drunk, they would sleep right there on the floor. And Srila Prabhupada would take the pocha, the mop, and clean everything and clean all the burden. Which Acharya have you heard does that in which sampradaya? I would like to know. And if that is true, I would like to even offer my hundreds of obeisances to such a personality. So, we have to understand that that is what Karunya, that is what Srimati Radharani has empowered our Acharyas with which is the highest quality of mercy. Naradji extinguished the forest fire of Vyasdev, internal moon, right? He was feeling despondent, not knowing his reason. You are all Srimad Bhagavatam students, right? So by giving him the proper instruction that you compose Srimad Bhagavatam, and you have not sufficiently described the transcendental qualities of Krishna and his pastimes. Please do that. And that forest fire was extinguished. That is Ganagana. And what is that? Praptasya Kalyana Gunarna Vasya. Praptasya means they have obtained. Obtained from where? Through their own efforts, through the parampara. And the Praptasya Kalyan means the well-being. That well-being is what? Again, external meaning is the well-being of persons who are suffering like us. And also Praptasya Kalyan means in the Radha Krishna's Nitya Leela, they have got that auspiciousness to understand Srimati Radharani through Varishta, Manjaris and Gopis. So, Sanatana Goswami is very much appreciated by Raghunath Das Goswami. In Vilap Kusumanjali, in that book, he writes in the introduction that some or the other, I don't deserve this, but Sanatana Goswami would not let me go. He says, no, you must take to this. You must stick to it. Can you believe that some devotee will come and enforce that on us with so much love, with so much compassion, that when we say, no, I'm not interested, I'm busy, Sundays I can't come. It's okay, I've got so many books to read, not right now. But imagine some devotee who can really win the hearts and say, no, this is really required. Please take this. This is for your real self. You must take this. So Sanatana Goswami gave this nectar to Raghunath Das Goswami. He forced it. Although I did not want it, he gave it to me. And that is the meaning, the internal meaning of when they give that the services and the understanding of Srimati Radharani. So, Ganaganatha Praptisya Kalyana Gudarnavasya Vande Guruhosri Charana. So this is the first verse I've finished. I think it is time, maybe, what time are we supposed to finish? It's time up, right? So we will continue this tomorrow morning. The next verse. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Samprada Acharya Guru Var ki, Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. I don't know if anybody wants to go somewhere in their seva, but if there are any questions, I'm willing to take. I can wait. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So, regarding this Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, sometimes I would think why Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wouldn't remember his own Guru instead of Rupa Manjari like that.
Very nice. Very good question. Actually, what is that one verse? That is the meaning is that if we water the root of the tree, Jai Vajati Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. That is a part of the verse. Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. If we take to Krishna consciousness as an example, and I'm connecting that to your question, Prabhuji, that if we take to Krishna consciousness, we do not separately need to satisfy the different Devi Devtas or demigods, or we may have some obligation to parents, to family, to society, etc. So once we satisfy Krishna, then Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Similarly, if one who satisfies Sri Rupa Manjari, naturally their gurus, meaning Srila Gaura Krishna Bhavaji Maharaj, who is also under Rupa Manjari, father, who is Kamala Manjari, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is under Rupa Manjari, all of them. So it is not that he doesn't remember them, but Rupa Manjari is very dear to all of them. So if something is very dear to our Srila Prabhupada, would we not remember? Would we not do that service? So I think it is in that context that Rupa Manjari, because she is the one who actually engages all of them. She is the head. And she is the most dear to Srimati Radharani. More dear even to Lalita and Vishakha, more dear as Rupa Manjari to Srimati Radharani. So it is not that he is trying to jump over the chain. And the connection is there because we don't know the past tense, because he is a favorite of Nayan Manjari, is one of the favorites of Rupa Manjari. So because staying close to her, getting the orders from her for Srimati Radharani's service, that bhav emanates that yes, after all, my Samam Bonam is Rupa Manjari. And which includes, so supposing if we say my Samam Bonam is Radha Krishna, but are we going to say that our Samam Bonam is not Prabhupada? It is already included. That Prabhupada says that whenever we use the word Krishna, the entire entourage is already there. Krishna is never alone. Right? That Prabhupada gives this example, I believe, that Prime Minister or President of the year, we see the news in the paper, Prime Minister is going to travel to the United States. So it is understood that his confidants, his ministers, his advisors, even his cook travels with him. The entire entourage. So they are all a privileged group traveling with the Prime Minister on his. So similarly, when we say, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, when we say Krishna, of course for Tattva purposes, on our Siddhanta level, we can delineate what you are saying, that why did we think about his Guru? His Guru is already there. How can it not be there? Not possible. So, I hope this helps.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I have a question regarding, like, at the start of the lecture we were discussing about the Raganuga Bhakti. So basically, of course, like in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, so the Sadhana Bhakti is divided as the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Raganuga Savina Bhakti.
Yes.
That of course, like if anybody who follows both of the path parallelly, like both are parallel path, not the sequential way, and will get the bhava. That is the the ultimate aim of the sadhana bhakti basically. So
Yes.
basically, like of course in ISKCON we first start with the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti because of course like we are not like we are not even connected. What is what is bhakti? So the path start with the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, but eventually like when one should change to the path of the Raganuga sadhana bhakti, of course the Raganuga sadhana bhakti given by the Raganuga Bhakta who is already on that path and the Krishna basically. So, but how can we understand that? How to follow that path?
Yeah, so I mentioned that this morning. I would highly recommend that you, if you have not heard that blog uh, of recently it only happened in New York, Hari Parshad Prabhu. Huh? Yes, with Rasanand Prabhu, yes. Yeah, late morning show. So, so with that, I think it is Nam Amrit Prabhu. Nam Amrit Prabhu. He discusses Raganuga Bhakti. And in Raganuga Bhakti is something, to answer your question very briefly and also hopefully effectively, is that it's not something that we can sit in the classroom and we will say, now today we will understand Raganuga Bhakti. No, it's not going to happen. Never will going to happen. It's just like a very nice example Hari Parshad Prabhu gave, which I really loved, and I will keep that in my heart always and share it with others. That when a boy and girl, they meet each other, they fall in love. Now, do they have to go to some special classes how to fall in love? When you fall in love, you know that you have fallen in love. So similarly, Raganuga Bhakti is like that. That will come with the proper practice, and that sadhana will never end. Vaidhi sadhana is going to be there, and Raganuga sadhana is there. And I will discuss that tomorrow. The different dashas of the sadhana and sadhya of Guru. It is coming in the next verse. There is a connection, so I will discuss it tomorrow morning. But in a nutshell, it will manifest in our heart. Chakshudana Niloje. What does that mean? Raganuga Bhakti. Janme Janme Prabhu said. That Raganuga Bhakti will manifest. The Acharyas will open those doors for us once we are ready for it. But we have to be ready. We may get even, right now, even this classes is not, my goal is not that, oh, I'm going to give you all Raganuga Bhakti or I'm speaking on Raganuga. No, it is informational purpose only. And then it is up to us. Because I said, if we have information, then we can pursue it. As I mentioned, 10, 15 years ago, 12 years ago, I did not even know about GEV. So once I got that information, it took me a few years before I even landed here on this soil. But it was there in my back, even in the back of my head of my mind, that we have not gone to GEV. You are talking about going every year, but you don't leave Vrindavan. You spend so much time in Vrindavan, you don't go anywhere. She complains. So finally, last year was the first time we came to GEV. And this is the second time, and hopefully with your blessings, we can keep coming and get your associations. So information is important so that we raise our standard, and then it will come one day. It will happen. Yeah? It will happen if we are sincere. Yes, the desire is there, but we have to deserve. I may have a desire, materially speaking. Let's say somebody may say that, yeah, I desire to have a multi-billion-dollar home in this country, vacation home here. I desire Mercedes, I desire BMW, I desire this car, that car, all the luxury. But do you deserve it? That's the question. But if the desire, even for material things, is very intense, then one actually gets it. Because Paramatma makes a note and then he makes the arrangement. No, this man is really bent on getting all these material comforts. Let me make the arrangement. Similarly, somebody who is bent on getting the highest of the highest, the Srimati Radharani arranges that. She will arrange it. Then we come under, I was mentioning in the morning, right now, most of us, I can say for myself, under the control of Mahamaya. But when we follow our sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti, we clear all these different stages, then Mahamaya will hand us over to Yogamaya. That's when Raganuga Bhakti will start. Then we will be guided. And Yogamaya is amazing. What to talk about Yogamaya? She even gets a blank check from Krishna. I'm signing it. Fill in the amount, when and where you want to. You can use it even on me. Make me forget that I am the Supreme Personality. Maya, we discussed in the morning, makes us forget. Both the Mayas makes us forget. Mahamaya makes us forget Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Yoga Maya also makes us forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So, we would rather aim to be under Yoga Maya's control and be a part of the wonderful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Arranging, serving. Make sense? Anyone else? Yes, Prabhu.
Nayana Manjari, Prabhupada is Nayana Manjari. Just wanted to know the reference.
No, but this is not Sri Thakur Prabhupada. No, Prabhupada has not revealed his position. He said, if I tell you, you will faint. So first of all, that means he is humble, and secondly, we are not qualified to even hear who we are. Because at that time, when Prabhupada, this was when Prabhupada was present, about 47 years at the minimum, perhaps more when this question was asked. So, and Prabhupada had not even probably finished translating the entire Bhagavatam. What to talk about Chaitanya Charitamrita when somebody had asked that question? So how will Prabhupada answer? Somebody one early morning when Prabhupada is chanting after translating his books, he's doing his own sadhana, like we as described in this, the next following verses from tomorrow onwards. The Acharya also does this sadhana. So somebody knocked his door and Prabhupada said, yes. So Prabhupada, can I become a pure devotee like you? A question early in the morning when it is chanting time. That kind of, is an irritating question. When you ask such a question, there is a time and place to ask, even if you have to ask. Like after Bhagavatam class or something, where the opportunity is there to ask them. So Prabhupada said, yes, I chanted for something like 40-50 years. So you also chant. And he sent him away. So Prabhupada was so witty when he answered those questions. So, like that, he knew. And he said, Prabhupada was very smart. One time cross my land, somebody asked Prabhupada, challenged actually, in Mumbai. Krishna hai to dikhaiye, Swamiji. If there is Krishna, show me. So Prabhupada said, Krishna तुम्हारे बाप का नौकर नहीं है जो खड़े खड़े बंसी बजाएगा और तुम्हारे सामने खड़ा हो जाएगा. अभी तुम बैठ जाओ. पहले योग्यता प्राप्त करो. So Krishna is not your father's servant that whenever you call him, he will come playing the flute. First get that qualification. Now you are standing, you sit down. And he was flabbergasted. So these are the same things. Jai Bhaje Krishna Shai Goda Chatur. So we have to learn all these things. Of course, we don't have that adhikar to kind of throw thunderbolt. But there are so many ways that we can those who are very envious, those who are very what do you call the right word? Challenging in nature, not to understand but just to challenge. So we find such people even when they ask questions in the classroom and they want to test the speaker's knowledge. So it is what is the verse? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena. That is why Krishna uses the word pranipat, not directly tad vidhi prashnena. That attitude is that then whatever instruction is being spoken will enter the heart. Otherwise it will go here and it will go. Like Krishna Swami says, I'm writing this chapter, it's very exalted. For those who will not understand, they are not meant to understand. And for those who will understand, they are meant to understand. Something like that he says. Something like that. So they will not be interested. They will look at, flip a few pages and then, because it is not meant for them. So similarly, that qualification, we have to get. And Prabhupada has given us everything. That is something also I stressed in the morning. That he has given us everything. When he says very clearly to Yamuna Mata, I am that Brajvasi. Following the footsteps of Brajvasi. So we have that Brajvasi is Srila Prabhupada. No need to go here and there. We have done that in the past. I have been going to Vrindavan for the last almost 28, 30 years. And also I thought that, I want to get so much rasa and hear that Baba, this Baba, that Sadhu. Different places I used to go and sit hours. Even this Premanand Baba, where I live in Vrindavan, his ashram used to be exactly hardly like 30 meters from my building. And there every morning he used to give katha. He used to speak on very exalted subjects like Radha Saraswati Sudanidhi and Vrindavan Mahima Amrit from Prabhupada Saraswati. And there were only 25, 30 devotees. And the evening, he used to give darshan from 6 to 6:30, only 7, 8 devotees. So I have attended many of his sessions. And then many other santas in Raj, all respectful, and they are all according to their own whatever they have received in their parampara, they are preaching. But final conclusion is, for the last several, I would say more than a decade, I'm not going anywhere. Except perhaps there is one great Vaishnava who is perfectly in our Gaudiya Vaishnava line, not in ISKCON. And even many other stalwart devotees in ISKCON, they attend his lectures. And I kind of, when he speaks in Hindi, and I take my Vedabase, and when he translates, his translation is 99.99 to the word of what Srila Prabhupada translates. So, and after he leaves, I don't think there is anybody really else in Vrindavan with that mood of the Gaudiya line of Rupa Goswami. So, other than that, it's our Krishna Balaram Mandir. Attend the morning classes. And that's what I stress. Why people are not attending, even in North America, hardly, like in New Vrindavan, I go except on festivals. There is like 11, 10, 12 devotees in the morning or so, even when, except when Radhanath Swami is coming or some other, then, the entire community knows and you're. But otherwise, Prabhupada wanted us to attend the morning program. And I mentioned everybody has something to offer. We should not think that, they don't know much, they are just new. But if they have been told to sit on the Vyasasana, even though they may not be an erudite scholar, but they are reading Prabhupada's purport, Bhaktivedanta purport. Do we know all the purports by heart? Do any of us know all the purports of all the verses of Bhagavad Gita, all the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, or Chaitanya Charitamrita by heart? I'm not even asking verses, purports. The purport is the heart of Srila Prabhupada, realizations. So at least we can accept that. We should come. And that person who is sitting is going to speak something that we may have not heard or that may really appeal to us, that we can use in our own preaching. So it's a win-win situation. Not attending Bhagavatam classes, especially if we are staying in the temple or close to a temple, is a transcendental crime. No, I understand. I'm not talking in particular this place. I said in general. I see that. One ideal temple that I can really commend is, I just came from NVCC. Amazing. What inspiration. All glories to His Grace Radhesham Prabhu and Retipati Prabhu. What leaders. What leadership they have. Inspiring. So what we need to do is inspire each other. It's very easy. Prabhupada said that at night before you go to sleep, right now, unless and until we have crossed Anartha Nivriti and we have not reached the stage of Nishtha Ruchi, we have to beat our mind with 100 times with shoes. And when we wake up, 100 times with the jhadu, with the broom. We have to do that for our own benefit, ultimately. Otherwise, what? There's no guarantee that we will even go back to Godhead. I mentioned in the morning those who missed it. Prabhupada used the word, if you chant minimum 16 good rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles, you will go on back to Godhead. He didn't say you will go on back to Golo or Vrindavan. Godhead is a very big, Vaikuntha, Dwarka, Mathura, they are big domains. So if we are thinking of Bhagavad Gita, all our life we have studied Bhagavad Gita, all our life, most of our ISKCON temples, from day one, devotee comes, he is listening Bhagavad Gita, and some devotees, even Prabhupada disciples, who are at 75, 80, some of them, and they are still into that, not to kind of, make a false statement, but we have to slowly and slowly go into the nuances of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is the darshan of Vasudeva Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is the darshan of Nandanandan Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam number 3 is the Leelas of Krishna's and Krishna's incarnation. Number 4, Srimad Bhagavatam is Nandanandan Krishna and Srimati Radharani in Vrindavan. Srimad Bhagavatam number 5 is actually ultimately Prema Pumarto Mahan, meaning the Radha Dasya. It takes us to that level. And number 6, and then Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we study it properly. And also the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So much nectar is there, but we need the proper realizations to even to understand Srila Prabhupada's purport. If you have anybody experienced this, please raise your hand. That if you have read the same verse or the purport again, you get some navaras, some newer meaning in your heart. Do you find that? Same verse, same purport, right? And then it is confirmed with other cross checks with some other purports of Srila Prabhupada. You get that feeling. So Prabhupada starts revealing to us many things. On that revelation, whether it is correct or not, how will we know? If it is confirmed in some of the other purports of Srila Prabhupada or our writings. Otherwise, it will be considered speculation. Or acharyas, meaning Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakurji, all our Gaudiya acharyas. Sometimes we get a spurti, we get a feeling. But how do you know whether it is emotion or devotion? There is a very fine line. So one time Srila Prabhupada, one Mataji, his disciples, started crying. 3 days, she said, Prabhupada, so last 3 days, Krishna is coming in my dream. So Prabhupada said, just wait for another 3 days, he will go away. So he knows. So immediately if Prabhupada said, oh wow, how amazing, then that false ego would be fanned by the Acharya. Instead of that, he says, okay, wait 3 more days. Because we still are controlled by Maya. We still have so many difficulties in our devotion. So if we think that, oh, now I have become a pure devotee, Krishna has come in my dreams, I have become pure, I am getting the spiritual visions, then certainly we are mistaken. Right? It may happen. Like Naraji himself, he got a little just for a shot. What does Bhakti Vinod Thakur say in that bhajan? Bhuliya tomare samsare ashiya pe nana vidha vyatha pe nana vidha vyatha. And he says in that bhajan, ek bar Prabhu dekha diya more vanchile dinadase. Once you showed me a glimpse in my mother's womb, and then you left this das. Vanchile means to give up. Which chapter are you all studying in 3rd canto? 3rd canto, 25th. When you come to 31st chapter, that is described. This Bhakti Vinod Thakurji has written this bhajan based on the 31st chapter of the 3rd canto. Bhuliya Tomare. You all know this bhajan? How many of you know this? Yeah. So that is based on the 31st chapter of I call that the evergreen bhajan. Like they have this Bhule Misre Geet, and bachpan mein wo Bina ka Geet Mala and all we used to hear. So they used to have the old Geet. So this is golden song. It is not only in the past, present, and maybe also in the future. And how people forget Krishna. It is how many reasons they have to forget Krishna. No time. Vidyara gaurave bhami deshe dhana uparjana kari. Bhuli mein tumhare hari. So much studies, academia, good job, IBM, Microsoft, Google, nice jobs are there. And then they are sending me today Tokyo, 3 days later London, so many different places in the world. Vidyara gaurave, Rami deshe deshe, going around in different parts of the world. Dhana uparjana kori. Ekamana palana kori, ekamane. And then I got married and I had my own Swajana Palana Kori Ekamane. I had my own family and very studiously I took care of them. Everything their need was there, I took care of it. But what result is? No time for Krishna Bhuli tumhare hai. So isn't that true? At the end he says, Bhadya ke ekhan Bhakti Vinod. Bhadya ke ekhan Bhakti Vinod. Kandiya Kataradi. दिन वृथा गेलो, दिन वृथा गेलो, एखोन की होइबे गति. Now in my old age, I'm simply crying, and all my days have been wasted. Of course, he's taking a very humble position. He's telling us, actually, it is us. Our days are wasted. Din vritha gelo, एखोन की होइबे गति. Now what will happen to me? So this morning, Rajesh Prabhu and myself, we were discussing that our Acharyas have given us these wonderful Vaishnava bhajans, so simple, but it is the summum bonum and the core of not only the Vaidhi Bhakti, but also Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is also embedded. So many songs are there on the Raganuga Bhakti that they have composed in the service of Radha and Krishna in their Nitya Leela. Thank you all very much for patiently listening. I hope you will bear me for 9 more sessions. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nice questions. And I was a little nervous. I was telling my wife, these are all academics, Bhakti Vedanta, Vidyapith, and I don't know what kind of qualification I have to speak here. But somehow or the other, I will give it a try. And the results will be known later after the 11 sessions. So I am only inspired because of your presence. And sometimes when I see some erudite scholars and devotees who are present, then I get inspired and that churning takes place in my heart. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Vanchakalpataro Sripa Siddhupe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Huh? If you go to Gaur Ganesh Deepika, Kavi Karna Gurus,